Hey guys, this is Jay Hooligan from Hyde Hooligan Films. I know it's been a really long time. There's been so much that's been going on this year: COVID, lockdown, politics, etc., etc. And I know I usually talk about film, but today I wanted to talk to you about something that I do hold pretty near and dear to my heart and to my soul, and that is something I call spiritual development. Now, there's a lot of aspects of life that usually come across like talking about things you need satisfied in your life with your health or clothing or making sure you have food, and those are basic necessities. And the higher ones, like having being socially adept or having a social life, you know, included in those is spirituality. Now, when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion, although religion is closely related to it. Right? The main purpose, and this is the same reason why so many people go to religion, the main purpose why religion started was for spiritual development. Now, it was corrupted, and many times it still is because people are corrupt, right? People have that capacity to do evil, and they used it as a system of manipulation. Why? Because the vulnerability that it creates of what it requires for you to um, put into spiritual development, right? So, what is spiritual development for that matter? In my terms, spiritual development is developing yourself, your own maturity, right? So, when you take time for yourself, which the majority of people, most people don't even do this. Yeah, when you take time for yourself to work on yourself, to deal with what's going on in your life, you are developing yourself spiritually, having that spiritual fortitude, right? Having that willpower, having that know-how, that discipline within yourself. That's what. Why do you think that people go to church every Sunday? It's that discipline, right? You need that constant movement, that constant move forward with it, right? That consistency. And again, most people don't do that. Why? Because today, our digital network. I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably watching this on your phone or your computer, and you're probably logged into social media as well. You might have somebody in the house that's playing games or watching another YouTube video, or posting or something on Facebook or Instagram, or scrolling through all that stuff. And the problem with a lot of that, it's something I think I called it before. I don't know if I said it on one of these videos. The digital demon, right? The digital demon pulls you away from spiritual development. So you want to improve on yourself. You want to be less stressed. You want to be successful in life. And it requires you to take time away from all that stuff just purely for you, right? Now, this is different than, oh, I forgot about that AC. This is different than distractions. Most people, like the way they deal with stress is one of two ways, right? You either distract yourself and you suppress all your stress, or you use an outlet. And there's a very fine line between the two on how you deal with your stress, right? You can convert a distraction into an outlet, and it requires one major difference, and that is you need to be able to focus that negative energy from what you're stressed about into that activity. Whatever you're stressed about, whatever is frustrating, you have to be able to focus it into that activity. That's what makes it an outlet. All right? Going off and say, if you go working out, a lot of people say, oh, it's a great outlet. It is only if you put in all your frustration and all the things you're stressed about into that workout. Because if you don't, then it's a distraction. And you wonder why a lot of these people that go to the gym, who they feel great afterwards, but they're still overly stressed. They haven't learned to use it as an outlet properly. Now, on top of that, that's your short term. Your long term part of spiritual development is the dailies or weeklies or whenever you do that, your maintenance, your time for you, right? So, like I said, taking time for you. And a lot of that time that comes in the form of meditation. If you want to come down to it, prayer is a form of meditation, right? You're taking time to focus your thoughts, to use mantras, to really focus your energy on something that you want out of life, right? Whether that be, um, like say, absolving your sins, which is just like all the negative stuff that you hold inside, things that you feel guilty about, things that you want to improve on, right? Or I mean, that could also come down to meditation of, I need to solve this problem that you have. It's this problem that's been nagging you for weeks, for months. How do I get over that? Right? Taking that time, and I'm not talking about it from, again, like, just like in the religion sort of view. I'm not talking about meditation from some sort of new age hokey perspective. I'm talking about relaxing the mind, focusing the mind, taking the time to really lay out your goals. When they talk about the deep breathing and relaxation, counting your breaths, those are all just basics. Those are precursors. All right? Those are precursors to clear your mind for the path to go and improve yourself. All right? You cannot spiritually develop when you've got your mind firing off in all different ways. And I know I kind of got off on that with the digital era. Digital era is meant to distract you. The media, social media, gaming, right? It's meant to keep you on edge over and over and over again so you don't have time for yourself, right? In your parasympathetic nervous system, that creates your fight or flight mode. That's where all your stress is. It minimalizes your body's resources. Minimalize it so it can have a quick response. That's where your emotions reside. It's an either or, life or death, flight or fight. Okay? We don't live in that world. When you relax and you move into your sympathetic, I think I got that flipped, your sympathetic nervous system. I'm pretty sure it's your parasympathetic nervous system that is your relaxation mode. That's the other side of your nervous system. There's a duality to your nervous system. That maximizes when you do your deep breathing. They have that vagus nerve. Your deep abdominal breathing deep, activates that vagus nerve. It is a physiological change. It is a physiological change. It's not something made up in your head. It physiologically happens. It is built into your body system, and it maximizes resources. It relaxes you. It is your healing mode. So, with media, with politics, with social media, with gaming, all these things that distract you away from spiritual development, they pull you away from that sort of, from being able to relax. It is purposely meant to keep you on edge to make those quick decisions, right? Because that's where emotions reside. Very quick decisions. Maybe happy or sad, happy or not, right? Your emotional brain drives you to make those decisions quickly, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that until it overrules your life every single day. We would not be able to make any sort of decision if we purely were in that relaxation mode, right? So, taking time for yourself, being disciplined enough to take some time, whether it be once a week, once a day. I always tell people, if you're going to meditate, do it 10 minutes before you fall asleep. There ain't nobody bothering you at that time. Shut off your phone, right? Sit there, relax, clear your mind. As soon as you can do that, learn to silence your inner dialogue. I remember way back in high school, they were telling you it is impossible for you to silence your inner dialogue. And I'm like, that's bull. And I figured out a really great trick for it. And I use it. I always tell it to everybody. And again, it's not something that just happens instantaneously. We just silence it completely. All right, it takes time. It takes development. It takes that discipline to consistency, and that is to listen to the silence. You ever been in a house by yourself and you think you hear something from the other room in the other room? So what happens? Your brain automatically shuts off. Your inner dialogue shuts off, and it purely listens. That right there is a way to silence your inner dialogue. That's automatically built in to your system, into your physical body. And you can work on extending that for purposes of meditation. Once your mind is clear, why do we count breaths? You make that conscious decision, because the emotional brain, it's more of a subconscious, an unconscious decision that arises, that forces you to make that to make decisions left or right quickly. All right. When you are in your your relaxation mode in your rational brain, and you're like, how do I now move forward? How do I solve my problem? Well, clear your mind first. Clear the path. Wipe the slate clean, and inject a simple exercise like counting your breaths. And I always tell people, count to 9. Don't count to 10. 10 is completion. It makes you feel like you're done. Go to 9. Do it again. Go to 9. Do it again. Repetition. Learn to slow everything down. And then once you're in a position where you can do that long enough and keep your emotional mind quieted down, the inner dialogue quieted down, then you give it a problem for you to solve and truly break down from a position of objectiveness. All right? But you can't do that without putting in the first steps of relaxation, deep breathing, right? All these things, that the disconnecting from your phone, from the media, right? Again, you can do this 10 minutes before you go to bed. It does not take that long, but you have to be the one that's disciplined to do it. Nobody else can make you do that. I guarantee you, if you do this every day, you will be able to face problems better. And it's not going to be instantaneous. Like I said, this is not some instant gratification thing. You're not going to be able to quiet your mind for like 5 minutes at a time just on a whim. In fact, the first time you do it, it might only happen for a few seconds, and that's it. That's fine. That's your baseline. Your baseline is something you build up from. Right? Build up from that baseline. Start it from there and go up, because that's the only way you can do. Extend the time. Hey, you didn't accomplish it? Don't kick yourself about it. Try again. Just take note. As soon as those thoughts come in, boom, look at the time. Oh, hey, I was a few seconds longer. Cool. And constantly push to better yourself. There's a huge disconnect between the younger generations and the older generations and whatnot. And again, I think that a lot of that disconnect comes from the lack of spiritual development on both sides. You know, it's not just one. No, there's a huge lack of empathy and compassion. We've got so much division in this country today, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It is the dumbest thing that I've seen in a very long time. Like, there are literally people rioting for peace and justice and non-violence, with violence and looting and rioting. How is that productive in any sort of way? That is an eye for an eye mentality. That never works. It just doesn't. And you might go, yeah, well, look at all these, the history of humanity as war. And guess what? How did that turn out for the dead people? It didn't. So no, it doesn't work. Period. You all want to come out of this alive? You all want to come out of this better? Start with you first. Start with you and move on. Set the pace. And it starts inside. You got to put that inside. Starts with that spiritual development. Working on you. Nobody else. You can't control anybody else anyway. That's why people resort to force all the time. You can't control people. You can't control the decisions. You don't know. You can only control yourself, your choices, and how you move forward with everything. So, that's my welcome back from COVID, the COVID lockdowns and whatnot. But it's something, again, that's it's very near and dear to me, because I've always been very close to understanding myself, and it took me a very, very long time to get there. You know, and a lot of times I feel like I fell behind because I wasn't focused on the right things, right? I wasn't taking those times for myself. I'm a gamer. I grew up in the gamer generation. Gaming was my generation that came up with that. Social media, the internet, my generation. We were the first ones inducted into that, right? I'm talking like Atari, Coleco, Nintendo, like those first platforms. Those were like our first one. You know, before Facebook, there was MySpace, there was Friendster, there was it Zanga? There were so many different sites for those things. We were the pioneers for that. And then it took me a very long time because it was such an easy trap. There's no rules in there. There weren't. And the objectification that comes from the digital environment. We don't see each other as people anymore. Like I said, there's a huge lack of empathy and compassion. We don't see each other as people anymore. We see them as profiles. We see them as pictures. And that constant this objectification, that consistency of not treating people like people is what's destroying humanity right now. And again, it starts with you inside first. So make that effort. You know, I'm slowly getting back into that consistency. I've had a huge lack of discipline with all this stuff, you know, and that's fine. You lose your path, so what? Get back on it. You know, nothing's stopping you but you. Your discipline, you have to pull from the inside. Nobody can give you that. So, anyway, yes, that's my take on spiritual development. So, hopefully you guys get out there, stay safe, you know, keep at it, because that's what we're doing. All right, guys, take care and have a good day.